Welcome to Network TV, right here on the NCW Life channel. I'm Sue Kane, CEO for NCW Tech Alliance. It's a pleasure to be your host today. At NCW Tech Alliance, we're dedicated to fostering a vibrant tech ecosystem in North Central Washington. We champion innovation, entrepreneurship, STEM education, and digital literacy because we want to foster a community where technology thrives and everyone has access to the skills and devices and connectivity to live and work and play here. Today, we're diving into an important conversation about community well-being and how it relates to digital equity. Our esteemed guests today are with Thriving Together NCW, which is a community organization that works across an extensive network of partners to improve health and well-being of people and places in North Central Washington. John Schapman, who's the Executive Director of Thriving Together NCW, will be joining us to share about their organizational vision that all individuals and areas in our region have the opportunity to flourish, without exception. John's been with Thriving Together NCW since 2016, when he started as their program manager for the Washington State Innovation Model Grant, eventually stepping into the Deputy Director role in 2019. With a background in clinical management and wellness programming, John's been instrumental in steering the organization's operations, project management, and strategic planning over the last 4 years. Alongside John, we have Wendy Brzezny, Clinical Director of Integration at Thriving Together NCW. Wendy brings 27 years of experience as a public health nurse with a profound commitment to driving transformative change for better health and well-being in our community. Her expertise in evidence-based practices and addressing health disparities has been key in investigating systems change across North Central Washington. Today, John and Wendy will shed light on the mission and the impact of Thriving Together NCW and delve into the critical issue of digital equity in our region. Their insights promise to offer not only a deeper understanding of the challenges we face, but also the innovative strategies and collaborative efforts underway to ensure that every member of our community has the tools and opportunities to succeed in an increasingly digital world. So stay tuned with us as we explore the vital work of Thriving Together NCW and the path forward to digital equity in North Central Washington, right here on Network TV on the NCW Life channel. Welcome back. I'm excited to introduce you to John Schapman and Wendy Brzezny with Thriving Together NCW. Welcome.
Thank you, Sue, for having us.
Yeah, we're so excited. And Thriving Together NCW is something that some of our folks will have heard about, but maybe you could start by telling us just a little bit about what Thriving Together NCW is.
So Thriving Together started, I'm going to give a little history. It started in 2014 with work that the State Healthcare Authority, which is the Medicaid payer of the state, was doing to look at how can we innovatively find ways to deliver services for our residents and for our patients, really with a healthcare focus with its original intent. But one of the creative things that they did is they realized that change really needed to happen locally. And that local change could happen by creating regional entities across the state, bringing partners together to focus on how do we improve really that health and well-being of our residents. And so Thriving Together NCW is one of 9 accountable communities of health in the state of Washington. And we're lucky enough to serve, the great North Central Washington region of Chelan, Douglas, Grant, and Okanogan County. And we're really here as a partner. In some ways, we're here to support our partnering organizations in looking at how they can better collaborate with each other, how they can come up with innovative ways to create change, how we can work with state and local officials to drive policy solutions that really impact and benefit the health and well-being of our residents.
Yeah, so you're not really, in terms of adding services, you're adding the connections and the relationship capacity between some of these entities that are providing services.
Yeah, I would say one of our greatest values, and sometimes it goes unseen, is our ability to make those connections, our ability sometimes to act as that neutral party where there's a dispute or a time when partners need to come together to figure out how they best need to collaborate. And they both need to come to the table sometimes with their vested interests and their organization's priorities, and they just need someone to help those two organizations or a number of organizations figure out who's the best fit to deliver services in the region, or what are some different ways we can look and do things differently. And so our value really is servicing the partners in our region versus trying to service the residents directly, and then making sure that they have the tools they need, they can turn around and better serve who their clients are, who their residents are in their region.
So when you look across the landscape of all of these networks of partners and all of these different activities, what does good look like? Like what are the things that you're looking for that say this is a system that's working?
Well, I think one of our primary tenets that we've really leaned into, and I'd like to say that one of the silver linings of COVID is that we're really looking at a system that promotes a culture of equity and well-being for all, which also means that we're trying to figure out what are those organizations that have the best connection with its residents, what are the organizations that have the best connection with the different cultures and the diversity of people that live in our community, and how can we better support them to bolster their systems to connect with some of what I would think are some of those usual suspects in our region that tend to be larger systems that have the funding and resources available to deliver services, but don't have quite that same connection with the residents. So in my mind, some of the success is how do we bolster and how do we build up small grassroots nonprofit organizations to connect with larger nonprofits, connect with our clinical partners who really still have that same mission and vision to achieve to improve the health and well-being, but maybe needs more of that community-centric drive to get the work done efficiently.
Yeah, I really find a lot of value in the ground up community-based solutions to some of these things. What parts of this work do you find most valuable, or do you find most inspiring, perhaps?
I think really, and there's one piece of work that we're leaning into that's really been new in the last 2 years that has really inspired and created drive in this change. And so in last year, we adopted a vision of all people in place and thriving, no exceptions. And then we leaned into a framework called the vital conditions. And those vital conditions, like if you think about your normal body and your life, you're thinking you can feel your heartbeat, you know how you're feeling, your temperature, everything like that. It's those key conditions that know that you're healthy and well. It's the same in the community. What are those key things in the community that help you know that that community is healthy and well? And in the center of that is belonging and civic muscle. And if you think of that, like in a lot of ways, when each of us go out and we're part and actively involved in the community, I know prior to starting today, we were talking about all the things we're involved in and how excited and how much we really enjoy giving back to the community. If we can create a community where everyone feels like they are part of it and that they feel they have the capacity to give back and civically be engaged into that community, that's really those key things that excite me. When we all feel that we recognize that we're different, but we're all contributing to the whole as a one to make everyone's health better. I think that's what excites me about this work. That's what excites me to see others lean into it and see that they feel they have a voice and they can be part of the change. And if we can get more people in our region to do that, I think we'd be surprised at the impact we can make.
I think that's incredibly inspiring, especially as you look across North Central Washington and you see the diversity in our communities. You go from Tenasket to Omak to Moses Lake and all across North Central Washington. All of the different communities in terms of age, in terms of different demographics and education and employment. And you want to reach and touch all of them with Thriving Together and make sure that they have what they need to be civically engaged and to have that well-being.
Yeah, and that's a huge ticket to ask for, right? Like when we think of those key vital conditions, it could be almost anything, and that's why partnership is key. Because neither Wendy or I or any of our Thriving Together team can do it alone. We really rely on the strength and the capacity of all the organizations really out there in our region helping to build up a system to do this. And I really have to give a shout out to North Central Washington because we've always been a region where people roll up their sleeves and figure out how we partner together. We've always been a region where people realize that no one no one agency has the capacity to do this work, and so the way we have to do it is together. And I've seen that even through one initiative we worked on in our recovery community, where both individuals with lived experience in recovery have partnered directly with law enforcement. And in some areas that's unheard of, but they both see the value of what it means to get people into meaningful work, meaningful lives, to be part of a community where they can give back. And they both know they need each other to do it. And they've recognized that, and they found a way to partner together to both merge that lived experience and some of that authority that the law enforcement has to make change.
Yeah, so when you're thinking about that network of partners, what is that experience like to partner with Thriving Together NCW? Like, what kinds of ways do you show up as a partner?
I'd love to say that there is any one way to show up to the table, but it is just, it's a diversity of ways. I would say some come to us because we've funded them in the past through different work or initiatives that Thriving Together has had as a focus. A lot of the way that we are driving that change now, though, is working with partners to identify those needs and priorities, and then bringing people together for that system of change. Like I said, the recovery coach work that we have done has been a phenomenal way of where we brought partners together to look at change. And then we actually found funding outside of our own to drive into the region to support this work. I know we'll be getting to it to the next segment, but even the work that we've been doing around telehealth and digital equity, I mean, everyone needs access now digitally to those key vital conditions to be healthy and well, and to be able to build those partnerships, especially with the NCW Tech Alliance. I think those kind of partnerships have allowed us to tap into resources both at the state level and hopefully moving forward into the federal level that will support really how we create that access, but then how do we link it back to all those other organizations that improve the health and well-being of our residents.
That's great. And like a great partner, John set us up. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the ways that NCW Tech Alliance and Thriving Together NCW are working to meet the needs of folks in terms of the technology access that they have across the region. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Sue Kane, and I'm joined today with John Schapman and Wendy Brzezny of Thriving Together NCW.
Thank you for having us today.
Thank you for having us again.
Yeah. So when we left, we kind of teased that we would talk a little bit about some of the work that NCW Tech Alliance has been doing with Thriving Together NCW around digital equity. And maybe, Wendy, would you tell us a little bit about the work that we're doing with the Digital Access and Equity Coalition?
Sure. First, I'd like to start off to thank you for having us today. And it's a pleasure to just be able to talk about some of the work so that others can know what we're doing and can get involved if they choose to. We started off talking about telehealth, or working on telehealth, a couple years ago, and we quickly realized that with telehealth there could be more done with some digital access points, or points in the community where people can come and whether can do a telehealth appointment at home because of privacy or lack of computer technology or lack of broadband, which is very common in our rural area. If we could create a space in a library or a school that someone can access their telehealth appointment, it would help them overcome some of the barriers. But then we realized that there were other things that we could start to address, and that's really that digital divide of recognizing that not everyone knows how to use computers or use them effectively. Even for telehealth appointments, to log into your portal or your electronic health record, you have to have email addresses or access to internet somehow. And it's been really exciting to partner with NCW Tech Alliance, who has that expertise of really teaching that tech component of it and marrying it with the telehealth, the digital access points. We're setting up the infrastructure while NCW Tech Alliance and the coalition of partners is going out and reaching individuals and helping bridge that divide by improving the knowledge that they have of the technology they need to use.
Yeah, forgive me, I jumped down into some of the specifics of how we're working together, but I think it's really important for our audience to really understand the problem that we're trying to solve. And when you talk about the digital divide in North Central Washington, what does that mean to Thriving Together NCW?
Yeah, the digital divide is great, and it can mean a lot of things. John spoke about the vital conditions, and that digital divide can keep us from thriving because so much of our world today is done digitally, and more of the systems that are coming that we need to do are done digitally. You have to apply for application, job searches online. You have to renew certain things online. You have to check your health records or schedule your appointments online. Everyone's wanting you to move online, but if you don't have that experience, you don't have that the know-how to get online. Many of us think, oh, it's so ubiquitous, we all know it, but there's a vast population that doesn't, for whatever reason, because they weren't exposed to it. Our older generation who didn't grow up with it and learn it. It can be a steep learning curve, and we often forget about that, and we're slowly losing those individuals as we continue to push more and more things electronically.
For sure. Yeah, so as you look across some of the work that will be done on that digital equity landscape over the next year, what are some of the things that you're most excited about?
There are a couple things. One, I'm thrilled that we're upskilling our workforce and training digital navigators. I think one of the most important things is we can have a position of a digital navigator, and that just means someone has to go to that digital navigator. But if we upskill our workforce, and the librarian is a digital navigator, and the person at the bank is a digital navigator, the person at the senior center is a digital navigator, and we really add that to the repertoire of things that they help their current customers. When a customer goes in to find whatever service they're going in to receive, or if they're going to that person, the client, they can help them in the moment when they have that issue come up and be able to help walk them through it or help them, or they can direct them and show them where to get it. So training those digital navigators across our region, I think, is a really cool initiative we're embarking on.
I feel like everyone has maybe someone in their family or someone that they're connected with, that is your person that you go to when you need technology support. There's some folks that just are so great with those questions, and I love that through the digital navigator work, you're working to expand that so that anybody could be that person that helps others navigate around them.
I think something else I'm excited about is working with businesses and getting them to adopt a digital equity mindset and plan. And so that as they're doing their own strategic planning and their own, how are they interacting with their customer base or client base, how are they infusing digital equity into that mindset? And it's really going to get them to think about, as they move their services electronically, they're going to have to start to think in that digital equity mindset. How am I going to reach those customers who are getting lost in that digital divide?
Maybe across the two of you, I may put you on the spot with this question a little bit, but is there an example of somebody you look at and think, wow, that was really great modeling or great leadership of a digital inclusion strategy, either in our education or our public entities or our business private? Who's doing something really well?
In the digital
it is on the spot.
It is on the spot.
You know, in my mind, all three of us had an opportunity to go to CAFE, the Center for the Advancement for Family and Education, and really that partnership with the Tech Alliance, with us and CAFE, to be able to bring digital equity training in the language that was appropriate for individuals who needed the skill to some individuals who hadn't ever had an opportunity to create an email. That was powerful. That demonstrated, one, mirroring that kind of relationship of the skill set of the Tech Alliance, our ability to support and bring collaboration. In cafes, you know, really that community-driven approach where they really knew what they needed for the residents that they serve, really was, in my mind, in an impactful way. And it just impressed me how everyone pulled that together.
I think I love that example because there was so much utility in what CAFE was providing. Was an opportunity for community to come and learn together. And you know, being able to take those skills into however you live, work, and play. And they really empowered that. That I think is a great example.
And in a lot of ways, if any one of us three agencies would have tried to do that on our own, it just wouldn't have had the same impact. But the collaboration and the partnership between the three of us really just adhere to all of our skill sets and our strengths to really deliver something that was great for the residents.
I agree with you.
I think you spoke of something of what does good look like. I think partners working together to accomplish a similar goal, or a goal for that we're all striving to reach. And that's one example, because it was Cafe, Thriving Together, NCW Tech Alliance, all coming together to bring that digital navigation class, or to teach those individuals how to navigate digitally.
So if somebody's watching this and they're interested in getting engaged in some of the digital equity work or in some of the greater body of work that Thriving is supporting, how do they get involved? How do you connect to new partners?
For the digital equity work, we have a coalition. I don't know, 70, 80 different partners, and I think that's organizations, not people. There's a lot of organizations who've signed up and said, yes, I want to work on this, and that's a great place for the digital equity work and bridging that digital divide to get involved. For for Thriving Together, I would say visit our website at
thrivingtogether.org, and really just, you can go to the staff page and see who our staff is and what some of our projects are, and all of our emails are on there. I would encourage people to ask the question. There's no wrong question to ask. There's no wrong idea out there on different ways that we can improve the health of our residents. I mean, and again, as we were saying earlier, we think everyone should be able to have the opportunity to contribute to the health and well-being of our community. And so anyone who has an idea should be willing to bring it forward. It may work, it may not work. We don't know until we talk and we explore it. But you know, we also don't want to miss out on those innovative solutions that someone may have to create that change, and that's generally from the people in the community, not from someone else. I
love this. You're empowering change makers and making that possible, and that's really pretty powerful. Yeah. Anything else that you want to share? Got just a couple more seconds here.
We just appreciate the partnerships we have in this community. We're here to serve everyone else in our Central Washington, who again is providing direct services to the residents and the community members. And we're just lucky to have the opportunity to play that role. It's really the partners that have done a lot of this amazing work. And we're really just there as support, and so we just are appreciative of the efforts and opportunities we've had to play in this work.
We'll mirror that gratitude right back at you. I think the work that Thriving Together NCW is doing is really pretty special, and I'm really glad to have you in our network at NCW Tech Alliance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sue Kane, and we'll see you next week for Network TV.